Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan Little for PokerNews.com, and last week for Poker News in the video I discussed how shallow stacked poker is viewed by some people to be all luck, but it absolutely is not. So here's another hand from the same tournament where we're playing pretty shallow stacked, 23 big blinds, right? We're only, an hour or two into the day, so it's not like we've been playing too long. And here we have the King-Jack offsuit. So first things first, from early position, you can certainly just fold this hand. If I had Queen Jack or Jack 10 or Queen 10 offsuit, I would definitely fold. If it was suited, I would definitely raise. I would not just go all in here. I think that would be a very, very big mistake. A lot of people think, all right, 20-something big blinds, I'm all in. And even if it is a marginally profitable all in, you will probably make more money by playing your hand in a different manner. Because imagine if you min raise and someone shoves, but now you just get to fold because we're almost certainly dominated. So in this scenario, if you are going to play, you want to make a min raise. I typically do prefer a tiny bit bigger than a min raise. I think that gives you a little bit of extra fold equity, which is good, right? You want your opponents folding when you're shallow stacked because, let's go back, if we just win the pot preflop, we get 425 chips. That's like a 15% increase to our stack, which is quite big. But I do think folding this hand would be perfectly fine and maybe even the best play. I would not fold King Queen. I would not fold Ace Jack. King Jack is close. But in $1,000 World Series events, I'm often a little bit looser than normal because most people don't shove often enough. When you're facing a raise here to 350, there's nothing wrong with just jamming it all in. And if your opponent's opening too wide, like say my opponent knew I was opening Jack 10 offsuit, well then they're just going to crush me by shoving very, very wide because I won't be able to call enough. Anyway, big blind, probably tight aggressive player calls. Flop comes Ace King 9 and the opponent checks. So here we have a very classic marginal made hand. In this scenario, Ace X, like a bad Ace X, like Ace 5 suited, if I open that, which I probably would, King X and under pairs are all quite marginal. So all of those hands I'm going to want to check. And I'm going to want to be betting with my Queen Jack, Queen 10, Jack 10 suiteds. Also my good aces, right? And my strong pair hands, like 2 pair and sets. Also, I want to be betting the flush draws. If I had a hand like 8-7 of clubs, I'd probably bet, but I would not love it. And then I would just be done with that hand. So in this scenario, I want to be checking. With your marginal made hands, the hands that can very easily win at Showdown, if a lot of money doesn't go into the pot, the plan is to check and try to get closer to Showdown. Also notice we have a Jack of Hearts here, which is great, which means a heart isn't even all that bad for us. Notice a Queen or a 10 isn't even all that bad because then we have a gut shot. So this is a great hand to check. There's really no reason to bet this hand at all. If I am going to bet, though, you want to be betting small. So this is not a spot where you want to bet. Trust me, checking is way, 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 way better. And that's going to result in you not going broke nearly as often and also not getting blown off of a hand with equity. Because imagine I bet here and my opponent raises. It's pretty miserable, right? Imagine I bet and my opponent calls. I just made them fold out all their garbage. I want to keep them in with their garbage because King Jack does great against garbage, but not so great against pretty good hands, right? So marginal made hands you want to be checking. We discussed this thoroughly in the homework challenges over at PokerCoaching.com. Go there, get your completely free trial, and go through the past homework challenges, especially those discussing shallow stacked play if you have problems with these stack sizes, as I know a lot of you do because you tell me on a regular basis. All right, turns to 3, and now the opponent bets 350. So marginal made hand. We're not loving the spot, but we're not folding. When we check behind the flop here, we are calling with many of our hands that we check behind. If I did have a hand like, I don't even know. Say I did have a hand like, say I did have 8-7 of clubs and I checked behind, which like I know I just said I'd probably bet it, but it's dicey. If I did check behind, I would just fold here. If I had a hand like pocket 7s, it's a pretty rough spot, but I would probably fold. Understanding that I also have many aces, kings, under pairs, and 9s, like 10-9 suited, that can call this bet. So it's perfectly fine to fold out the bottom portion of your range whenever you're facing a bet, but given the opponent bet's so small here, we really don't want to be folding all of that often, so be careful that you don't overfold to small bets. We discuss how often you can fold at PokerCoaching.com, and we go through all of your entire range to make sure you're not folding too much. So we call. Now on the river, the opponent bets 550, and now we have pretty much a crying call. If I had a 9 here, I would typically fold. If I had pocket 10s, ugh. The problem with pocket 10s, jacks, and queens is that we block some of our opponent's obvious bluffs with the gut shot straight draws. which means they're more likely to have a value hand. I mean, my opponent's definitely going to bet an ace like this on the river. The opponent could very easily bet a king, like a good king, like king-queen. Probably doesn't want to be betting king 10 or king 8 or anything like that. Especially if they know that I could easily have ace x or king x, right? And the king x I have are king 10 or better. So betting king 10 or king 2 doesn't make sense. So when the opponent's betting here, they're either bluffing, for the most part, or they have a hand that is pretty strong. So with the hands like pocket queens, I think we need to fold this river, although it's very, very close. And that's more of a read-based play. I'm sure if you ran that through a game theory optimal solver, it would probably tell you to call, just because of the small bet size, right? When you're getting great odds, you just can't fold all that much. That said, this is a $1,000 buy-in World Series of Poker turbo event against a random player who I do not know. Maybe they're tight aggressive, maybe they're not. Who knows? And in situations like this, I tend to just assume they're going to make some sort of mistake. And when people bet small on the river, you're just getting really good odds to call. And if they are making the classic mistake of either bluffing too often just because they can't win at the showdown, or overvaluing a worse hand, like you'll see some people bet here with pocket eights. They don't know why they're betting. They're just betting because I checked the flop, which is not a good reason, but that's what a lot of people do. So I'm almost always calling here with any king. If I had pocket 10s or better, I do think it's close. If I had a 9, I think it's probably just a fold. That said, you may find a hand like 9-8 of clubs is a better call here than a hand like pocket 10s, even though 9-8 is worse than pocket 10s, because a lot of people will not bet with any hand worse than a king. And also, if we have 9-8, we don't block any of the busted draws, right? So our opponent's more likely to have queen 10, jack 10, or queen 10, jack 10, or queen jack. Whereas whenever I have 9-8, when I have the pocket pairs, I block the bluffs, which mean they're more likely to have value, right? There we go. We're getting there. Anyway, king jack's easy call, I think. And, well, here it is. The opponent had one of those hands that I said probably should not bet. And this is why you should not be folding very often in spots like this, because your opponents are going to do ridiculous things. Like I said, the opponent should not bet king 10 just because I have lots of ace x in my range and also have lots of good kings in my range. Notice I'm not opening king 8 pre-flop, right? So if I have a king, it's king, queen, king, jack, or king 10. And I just told you I'm not folding the king, so what's my opponent doing? They're messing up. They are throwing away value playing shallow stacked, and this is exactly what I was telling you people do. When you're playing shallow stack, people make mistakes. They don't play post-flop well at all. And all that value goes to you if you work hard away from the table and study the game. So that's going to be it for today for this hand from PokerNews.com. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you want to study short stack poker, and I definitely suggest you do, because I know most players who play locally, or if you go to the World Series of Poker, or if you go to any poker tournament without a very, very deep structure, inevitably you will be playing shallow stacked. And if you don't know how to play shallow stacked, you are lighting money on fire. If you think it's all luck, you're wrong, and you are lighting money on fire. And I don't want you to light money on fire. I want you to have a great chance to win at poker. And if you're not studying away from the table, it's not going to happen. So go to pokercoaching.com and get the free trial. That's going to be it for today. Good luck in your games. Thanks for watching. Have fun. Be nice to someone. And I'll talk to you later.